Hi everyone, you are tuned into Known Wealth. We got a special guest today. Let's start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Neo.
And my name is Leo.
So our guest today, just to open the platform, our guest today is a very special guest to us. And I think let's start off by asking about herself, and so that you guys can know more about her.
Just to give you a bit of context, Jess was the first person to actually interview us. So she's really, really special to us. Yes, Jess, you can actually introduce yourself and let the people know that who is Jess.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jessica Johnson. I am the founder of a travel community, Black Travelers Network. We provide trips that focus on the Black experience in different parts of the world. And we also have our own sort of like community where a number of things that's supportive to people in their everyday lives. And so that's a little bit about me.
No, that's awesome, Jess. The platform, when we started YouTube, we were like, how can we actually provide impact? How can we provide quality information that will actually contribute towards the people? And I'd rather give them the practical information that can actually impact towards their property journey. So we find out more about your property journey and how you've seen property before, how you see property now, just everything, the practicality of property itself.
Yes. Right now my full focus and my full business is really centered around travel. But what a lot of people don't know is before I ever even got a chance to center my life around travel, I had a real estate business, a very small real estate business where I owned a few pieces of rental properties. And that really was the start of my property journey and me actually even being able to do what I do now in terms of my real passion, which is around real estate. It's so interesting because most people who know me, especially our clients, they only know me from travel. But I feel so strongly and so passionate about real estate that I would say prior to me doing travel, most of my friends and family and the people that I knew, they knew me in terms of real estate. And so it really was an avenue for me to get everything that I'm doing right now started. And so I really value the importance of real estate. And I know we hear it often about how, real estate is the key to wealth, but for me, it has really made the whole difference in terms of me being able to live a life of freedom.
What we like to do is to actually show the people what is the process. So now, before you knew anything about real estate until now. So now, would you please just kindly tell us, what did you fall in love with real estate?
For me, my real estate journey actually started when I was working in corporate, and I had a job where I was traveling all throughout the country because my background is really in labor and politics. And so I was working on a bunch of labor campaigns and political campaigns here in the United States. So I had a wonderful opportunity of working on President Obama's campaign several times. And I say several times before he ever even ran for presidency, I had a chance to work on his campaign. And so between the time I was doing a lot of the political work, I ended up being assigned to Los Angeles, California. And I absolutely hated it because for me, my only association with Los Angeles, California was Hollywood. And I was absolutely not interested in anything related to that. But once I arrived in Los Angeles, I remember just being amazed at how much wealth was in the city of Los Angeles, and that it just like blew me away. And my first thought was, how do these people have all this money? Like, I'd never really been to a place like that at that particular point in time. And so I remember, like, after having arrived there, I went to the local book store in the area where I was staying, and I just went to the section that talked about personal finance and property. And that's when I saw Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I read that book, and it really literally changed my entire life.
Sure. It seems like this book actually done waves internationally, because no matter where you're from, seems like every time the common denominator is we all started with rich dad, poor dad.
I mean, when it comes to financial freedom, when it comes to the way we see how to get financial freedom, it's kind of there's similarities towards it, because you always talk of, like, during our conversations, you always emphasize the importance of investing in yourself. So I just wanted the people to actually know what your perspective and how long you actually took. I'm sorry about this, but I had to. Let me just confess. I did actually admit to one of the guys in our network that how long it actually took you to actually invest in yourself before going into that first deal. So I just wanted to just let the community know how long did it take you, so that they can have this idea of what is the importance to actually invest in yourself.
And to also have it on record.
Yes. 3 years from the time that I landed in Los Angeles, California, before I actually did my first deal. And throughout that time, I was everything that I could do to learn as much as I could learn about real estate, about how is it an avenue to generating wealth? How are people making money in it? Because at that time, my only knowledge of how people were making money in real estate was through like selling property, and I had no desire to ever be a real estate agent, so it absolutely didn't interest me. I had no idea that there was this whole other level that people were playing on. And so i I wish I had what people have now, because people now have more access to online classes, they have more access to online coaching. If I would have had access to that at that time, I definitely would have taken advantage of that and put my money and resources into that. But at that time, this whole sort of wave of online courses and coaching and mentorship was not really like it is now. So I kind of threw myself into reading as many books as I could read. Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. I did a number of podcasts. I threw myself into into the world where they talked a lot more about real estate in terms of real estate podcasts. I just listened to so many different perspectives, and so for me at that time, that was the only avenue I kind of had to like really being able to go through some coaching and some mentorship was what I had available to me online. But it was a 3-year process, and I could have began much sooner if I would have had access to those other resources. But when you're sort of going at it on your own and doing it at your own pace, it does take a lot longer before you get things going.
That's really cool. So now I'm just thinking about what you actually just said to me in terms of the education and educating yourself, because now what we've actually been getting from the network is that people are actually buying property based on their emotions and how they feel. Because the property actually looks good, then they'll actually buy the property. So now I want to ask you, because my question can't be that you ever bought emotionally, because obviously before you bought a property, you actually invested in yourself. So now, what is one of the most biggest mistakes that you've done within property investing?
The biggest mistake that I've made was, I would say, I kind of undervalued the potential of what I had. And when I say that, I feel like in the beginning I was charging like so much lower, because I invested for the purposes of renting places out to people who really, and so I didn't really go into it with any form of emotion. Like even my primary residence that I live in, I no emotion behind it whatsoever. In fact, I had my family actually choose the house. I was like, just choose it. Like, I don't even care about it. It's just a house. It's just a property. But I did not, I think if I would have known and understand, like I said, it goes back to the education and the coaching of it. If I would have really known what I had, I think I would have made different decisions along the way than what I did. I kind of started, I started really small with one sort of a single property. Um, but knowing, like, I think after the fact and knowing more of what I know now, I probably would have flipped it and probably would have invested in a multi-unit first as opposed to a single family. But that's just, applicable, I would say, what I'm looking at here in the United States and the market piece of it. But I've even with that, undervaluing what I had, and also just I would say still I should have. I really feel like it was a mistake for me not to be immersed in a community of investors, people who actually time, because when I started and I bought my first piece of property, I was actually still working. I was traveling all over the country, and so it was very, very challenging for me to like really be a part of any community for an extended period of time. But I only highlight those two things because those are very critical to people's growth and development in real estate, and also like people's ultimate success, I would say.
Just, we had prepared questions, but now
Yeah.
based on our topic, I'm sure you can realize by now, like the way it's flowing, we're actually moving away from it. Like based, so just we're actually moving away from script, and this is what I actually appreciate. I'd like to understand what is your thoughts right now in terms of the property market in South Africa. What do you think about it after the interview, after the intensive interview you had with us, and the knowledge that you've had previously? So I'd like to understand what's your thoughts on the property market in South Africa.
The property market in South Africa, it's a market that I'm still learning about. So I admit I don't know very much about it. But what I can say that I do know in terms of this is just real estate around the world. I mean, anytime there's a period like what we're going through right now, where people have been locked in their homes for a period of time, or even outside of this, like economies go through different challenges all the time. So when I think about South Africa, I think about opportunity. This global pandemic has uh, presented itself in a way that most of us have never experienced. And so I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who's actually in Cape Town. We've known each other for many years. And to the viewers, I come to South Africa all the time. Like, so I'm usually there this time of year, later on in the year, like I'm multiple times. And if I'm not there, I'm usually facilitating other Americans who are visiting. So for me, like one of the things he was telling me about, because he was talking about how things are in, and we were just like really just kind of indulging in how much opportunity should come as a direct result of what's happening right now. And so I know even with him, he wants to purchase property because, he wants to eventually do like Airbnb. But with what's going on now, everybody can kind of see like the challenges and the bad things. But this time is when people who have vision and the ability to think ahead, this is the time when you're going to make the money. And it comes from investing in yourself, investing in your education, and positioning yourself to really take advantage of the things that you will likely see in South Africa. And I always tell people that I made the most money, not when things were the best, you know what I mean? Like I made the most money in times like what we're facing right now. Like what's happening right now throughout the world is something that's really unprecedented. Like we've never experienced something like this. However, at different times throughout the world, different economies go through moments where the economy is doing very well and moments things are challenging. I made the most money in the most challenging market. like for the time that I started investing, I invested in a time where in the United States there was a housing market crash, like a big recession. Lots of people lost their homes due to subprime loans that were not favorable to buyers. And so you had buyers who, let's say, for example, they had a monthly mortgage of $1,000. They had contracts or mortgages that the rate would change, and this month it might be $1,000, but next month it might be $1,600. It really was the best time to get in. So I say all that to say South Africa right now is very challenging, like much of the other parts of the world, but there's opportunity there. And for people who can see, understand that we are going through a moment in time, you know, you will use this time to invest in yourself, invest in your education, and to invest in just knowledge and surrounding yourself with people who really know what they're doing, like the folks with non wealth. I mean, like I wish I had you guys when I first started. I really do, because I probably would have bought more and been sitting on more. But yeah, that's essentially what I want people to understand, that this is the time.
Those are exciting news. Just to actually put in what I think of in terms of that, I think that people tend to, this is something that I actually heard when I was listening to this other podcast, is that when times are bad, people think that bad times it will always be bad times. And when it's good times, people think that it will always be good times. So now in good times, people don't actually invest in themselves. They start investing in themselves when now is the time to actually invest. Now they're thinking, how can I actually equip myself with the knowledge? And then you're buying actually out of pressure, because we don't know how long this is actually going to last. So now you want to actually buy now, and then you tend to do mistakes. So now, even in good times, I think we'll do another one when everything has just settled down, that now that it's good times, please invest in yourself and actually get all the information that you can get, so that when the bad times do actually come back, you are actually equipped, and all you're doing is just searching for deals when it's bad times. Well, just to close off the session, Jess, can you please tell our viewers about the Black Travelers Network?
Yes, Black Travelers Network is really, it's a community where we focus on traveling to places that, we have, where we can find Black history, the history of the African diaspora. We really it's more experiential learning through adult education. And we look at it from different levels. Like, our goal is really to immerse our people in the cultural aspects around the world of where Black people either dominate in population, or have a prevalent or a cultural influence on the place that they are living in. So a lot of the places we go to different parts of Brazil. We go to Brazil during Carnival, the world's largest carnival celebration. It definitely has roots that are connected to West Africa and a lot of Central Africa, like Congo and Angola, like places like that. A lot of people don't know that outside of the African continent, Brazil actually has the highest population of people of African descent. So we have multiple experiences where we go there. We also, of course, South Africa. Black Travelers Network was created on the heels of a trip that I had to South Africa. It was my first time visiting South Africa. I want to say like 2014, 2015, somewhere in there, where I had a chance to spend time in Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. And I was just blown away at how beautiful the country is. The people are beautiful. It was just an amazing. And so I was so inspired after leaving South Africa that I created Black Travelers Network, because the goal was really to bring as many African Americans as possible to the country of South Africa. That is really my motivation, and you know why I love South Africa so much. It stole my heart, and it's the one country in Africa that I always, but of course we go to places like Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria. We're going to those places largely next year. Dubai, we've gone to North American places like Canada, and we've gone to the Caribbean and Cuba. And so we really go all over the world. And once you do that, you kind of understand that the diaspora, although we are different in many ways culturally, we are very much the same people, like same levels of respect for certain things. Like a lot of Black folks, and this is just a generalization, like we respect education, we respect our elders, we have a strong sense of spirituality, and the connection with with God or the Most High. We call it different things depending on which part of the world we're in, but it's much connected. I'm working to get our folks to see this from, not just from a travel perspective, in terms of understanding the importance of the history and the culture. Yes, we want to do that, but we also want people to start taking a look and taking stock of opportunities in some of the places where we're visiting. So, and we have a bunch of different things, like I said, going, and a number of things in the pipeline. So the easiest thing that people latch on to is our amazing trips that people love to experience. And so that's a bit about this network. People can always visit the website, network.com. We're also on Instagram. You can see a lot of our Instagram pictures. I love showing off our pictures. Our website doesn't have the space that people can really see a lot of our pictures, but we are on IG, and people can definitely follow us on IG.
Okay, we'll make sure that we actually put in all those details below.
Just, man, it's been so amazing. It's been, just to wrap it up, every time we talk, every time we communicate, there's something that actually comes out of that.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I really enjoy speaking to you, and thank you for listening to your audience. It's a great moment when we can come together as brothers and sisters all over the world to really share in our experience and the lessons we've learned. So
and there you have it. Please do post comments. But what was your biggest takeaway? And did you really enjoy this video?